there are ways to find in your roots, in the roots of your culture, whether it's a global culture, a national culture, or a queer culture, to find that resilience and that beauty and to say, yes, this is who I am and this is who I remain. And I don't know where it will lead me, but I will do it rather than die. My name is Kai Tillman. I describe myself by saying I'm a woman of transgendered experience. My pronoun is she. I will turn 76 next week.
My name is Michelle. I am 70 just recently, so I'm really happy about that.
We met in January of 1981.
Yep.
At a Buddhist meditation temple in what is now Koreatown in LA. We were kind of set up by a friend and teacher of both of us who I'd met originally in Sri Lanka. He was at the time an American monk. We first set eyes on each other when the bell was rung to signal the end of the meditation period, and we opened our eyes, and there we were across the meditation hall from each other. Quite an unlikely meeting.
Very unlikely, but yeah, our eyes met, and somehow I knew that you were someone of interest. There was a spark there. It was wonderful.
And it changed my life completely because I was just passing through LA for a couple of months. I had no intention of staying, but I stayed. And we moved in together. Within weeks. We had a huge industrial space in downtown LA that theoretically was going to be a studio for both of us. Mm-hmm. Except we had no money whatsoever.
Yeah, big dreams, little backup.
And I had to choose every day between food or cigarettes or gas as I did the rounds getting work as a photographic assistant.
And I was a painter. I had been looking so long, and I was still in my early 20s, for somebody that could look deep into my eyes. And I almost gave up until I met you. And you were different. You were really different. I felt a spiritual connection as well as just an overall attraction, loving every bit of what I saw and what I heard, your voice. It was wonderful. And you just had a warmth inside of you that was beyond any gender roles, which was powerful. So I think that I met my match.
On meeting you, I said, oh, by the way, there's some gender stuff going on that I'm not sure about. And I showed you some photographs of me in a very dada presentation. And you were okay with that.
Oh, I'm an artist, so I showed you my portfolio of paintings. And I thought, wow, it's very artistic, wonderful. Let's see what happens.
But falling in love with you was a very progressive thing. I was very comfortable with you, but you were very quiet.
Totally.
We'd be teaching retreats or be in the desert, and hours would go by, and I'd say, a penny for your thoughts. And then there'd be nothing for another several hours. And you've caught up with me. You're as talkative as I am
I'm
now.
very talkative now.
But I was always talkative, and it took you a while. But there was something
Deeper than just conversation, maybe, that I was communicating.
I think so.
Yeah.
There was a deep quietness that I felt was very resonant.
And I changed my mind after probably 5 or 6 years into the relationship. I made a decision I was going to be very talkative.
That early? I don't, okay.
Or maybe not early, maybe it was later.
A few decades after that.
It was fun.
So falling in love is a progression because, people ask us, what's the secret? You've been together 45 years. And it's simple. We love each other.
We love each other.
And that is a continual evolution and a discovery and a sharing of interests and a sharing of ideas. And it's a friendship more than a romance. We separated actually early on for close to a year. It was actually because of my own explorations of transness and the fact that we had an open relationship. At many points, we were polyamorous, so far too much effort these days to even bother with such things.
Yeah.
There were times when I felt I can't do this. We're too incompatible. Such moments last for milliseconds now.
Yeah.
But it's good that they exist.
It puts a little bit more momentum in the relationship and a deepening when there is a challenge, when there is a rough bit. And I think for myself, that's how you love deeper, because otherwise it's very superficial and then you fall apart, literally, and leave each other as a result. For me, it was difficult the first couple of years, being able to sustain a relationship that wasn't what I was brought up with. I had many, many partners in that sense, but they felt like something was amiss. When I met Catriona, there was something really not amiss. It was something deeper. And I was up for the challenge, even though I knew I needed to leave the relationship in order to possibly come back.
I don't think you had any intention of coming back, when you?
No, it's true. I made a decision, and when I make a decision, I make a decision. But you did not let go of my decision, and you were like, we don't even know each other.
Yeah, this was.
Give it a chance.
This was two or 3 years into the relationship. I was possessed with a sense of destiny, a sense of this abrupt terminating of our relationship didn't sit well with me. We'd already, a sense of destiny.
Yeah.
And since then, there have been times when we were really pissed off with each other.
Oh, yeah, we're both fiery. We look so calm, but we can get into it.
The author of The Little Prince had written about a relationship is sustained not by two people gazing lovingly into each other's eyes, but by gazing together out in a similar direction. Almost daily, I'm in amazement at how many interests we have. You get interested in something, and I'm curious enough to say, well, that's interesting. And countless things over the years that we've investigated together. I'm inclined to mention when we had tea with the Dalai Lama in '94. He basically said it's the job of a human being, the job of a bodhisattva, to be interested in everything. At which point I went, yes, finally, a real authority to verify and validate my own inclination to be really interested in just about everything.
Including each other. She was much more interesting than just my relationship to her. So that's what kept us going, I think, to now and beyond.
In the 90s, when with a friend from Australia and a friend from the Bay Area, we were looking for land for Thich Nhat Hanh, actually, for a West Coast center. And you and Annie were on the beach, just goofing around in the waves. And my friend Arnie said, oh, it's so nice to see Buddhists who are actually alive. And that was a moment of celebration, of joy, Annie is a dear old friend. I could say I was in love with her as well. In love with life through both of you. Earlier than that, when we first got together, I think of, it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
There were many good times that we had. And I have, through the filter of time and memory, I have to think of the times that were really joyful were times when I felt, by default, I moved to feeling the joy and the love of being with you.
When you put your arm around me, and it didn't kind of go and hug me like that, like possession. It was more like an embrace, and you put your hand underneath my armpit so I can hold you there too. It was just that simple act that said to me everything about who you are and how we are in relationship. That wasn't possessive, it was more a collaboration. And it was early on when infatuation could have taken over like crazy, and it did, but that mattered more to me than anything. It was lovely to speak to you and to dialogue, not only in a way that felt like just dumping stories on each other, but in conversation. That's what's kept us, I think, together. So we listen to each other and we
inquire, we question everything.
Yeah, I admire her courageousness. Now it seems more obvious that we have the ability to shapeshift in gender and also do specific surgeries, et cetera, but the courage that it takes, don't make light of that. ever. I've journeyed with her in this way. It hasn't been that easy in many respects, but it's been really loving, and there's an element of compassion that overrides any discomfort or challenge. To watch somebody really become complete. I mean, good God, as a cis woman, I've discovered many difficulties in being whole myself in the face of patriarchy, in the face of all kinds of other things. However, watching Catriona on her journey has been pretty amazing to me. It's helped me to be a woman, actually, more complete. Watching her discover and unfold, even watching her go through the steps of becoming a toddler to a teenager to an adult to a mature woman seasoned in her womanness in a period of like just a few years. I mean, it's fast forward. That takes a lot of courage. I don't see how anybody can dismiss that at all.
What I admire about you, you stick by your family, your mother when she was sick, your father when he had dementia, and then you stick by me. That fierce faithfulness, and it goes to your art. It goes to our work in mentoring and teaching people. Mm-hmm. I have something similar, but I only have it because I have you as a model. To maintain a quality of integrity, which isn't just following a polite, normative custom. It's something much more mythological. It has that dimension to it. It's mythological.
Wow. Okay.
Fiery gods.
Yeah.
I admire many things about you. Your mind, your perception, your intuition.
Back at you. We like each other's minds. It's
We
fabulous.
do, above
Yeah.
all. Above
Yeah,
all. It's a
above
meeting
all.
of minds. And it wasn't always like that, because, you were so silent for so many years. I had no idea what kind of mind was going on in there. But I guess I glimpsed it or I intuited it through signs. I have no idea how I interpreted. We had an outrageous sex life in the beginning. It was part of the momentum of our relationship.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was lots of expressions of love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we really liked each other.
So we live at a retreat center, which we co-founded more than 30 years ago. And when we don't have a retreat that we're teaching going on, we get up whenever we please, which is usually quite early.
Yeah.
We'll sit outside and drink matcha or coffee.
We spend a lot of time just going with the flow of that.
We eat whenever we want, and we don't have names for meals because sometimes we'll eat at 11 in the morning or we'll eat at 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yep.
We don't have a very regular schedule at all, which is deliberate. We keep up with politics and world events from multiple sources, because part of what our work has been over the years is to teach a kind of spirituality that isn't divorced from the realities of moral and ethical responsibility of how to be a human in a world in which there's so much obvious suffering, devastation, cruelty, and on and on. I find difficulties to balance that. Yeah. It's important to hold the grief, to really bear witness to the grief in everything we do. I guess everything we do is informed by that.
Yeah, including our joy. So we have enormous amounts of joyful moments. We wake up every morning saying, today is going to be an amazing day.
Every morning, first thing.
Either one of us will say that.
Sometimes we say it in Japanese and sometimes...
Subarashi.
And sometimes we say it in English. Part of me wants to go straight to the camera and say, kids, take your power. I want to say, as a trans person, you are a gift. You are a gift that breaks the mold of the static sterility of insistent binary paradigms. When I was in South America among indigenous people, they know that already. They gave me shocking honors. Traditional cultures nearly all had room for sexual and gender variation. And it's well known, it's well documented, and it's totally denied by revisionists, anthropologists, and historians, especially right now. It's in our human DNA to be variant. So the trans part is secondary to living your truth in your external expression. You know, it could involve leaving a job in the bank and painting pictures. Mm-hmm. That's just as important. The whole palette of possible expressions. There's something so sweet, this drive for expression on a cellular level to the mammal, reptile, fish species, this drive toward variety, you know, starting with what Darwin was beginning to uncover. It's so powerful. And being trans is just part of that. It's not any less than that. We've attempted to put it all into boxes. It's just so glorious. It's the plumes of a tropical bird. It's so gorgeous that someone should step out of the binary straitjacket that we've imposed on the society and say, no, I'm going to be other than that. And it's terrifying, this backlash against trans kids who are just being kids. I wish there were another way to let it be fluid and let it be outside of the binary box. And let us all just dance. And God, 4.25 billion years of planetary evolution to come to this madness.
Yeah.
So that, you know, the universe is just so magnificent that being trans is, perhaps I'm blessed. I say that sometimes, blessed to be trans. The universe is inherently beautiful and inherently creative and inherently good.
And there's an awful lot of fear out there, you know, and maybe that's the rub to something more beautiful. And it has to be the rite of passage in order to come to more fullness and wholeness and the actual expression of life that is continuous.
I don't think of myself as trans very much. I mean, when I think of myself, trans isn't the first thing that comes to my mind.
It feels so natural, the passage of time for both of us, that there are all kinds of love. And our journey is a very special one. Because we started off in the normal kind of heterosexual way.
We started off as a straight couple.
Yeah, and then we went and showed how love can be so fierce. It can overcome what a lot of people would call difficult. And for us, it's just love.
There is so much beauty in the world, despite our collective attempt to stifle it through centuries of modernity, through centuries of splitting things apart, of separating men from women, science from religion, and you can go on and on. The dualisms that inhabit us to the likely terminal destination of the species. And yet, beauty is so pervasive, so ubiquitous, so insistent in the city, out of the city where we live, in human interaction. Words are not adequate. It's outrageous how much beauty, just in our being here in this room with you all. There is so much freaking human magic. Mm-hmm. I just had to say that.